Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer, and today is Tuesday, and Tuesdays are Elmer time. And Elmer is a young man jetting around the world, and today I caught up with him in his residence in Washington DC. Elmer, Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you,
Hi,
sir?
how are you? I'm a 73. I'm 73 years old. Suri is kidding, but I do travel a lot.
Yes, yes, and you are a young man, my dear man. I mean, I can learn a lot from you. I continue to learn a lot from you, Elmer. I want to draw your attention first. Today, we are going to talk about three things, viewers. The first one is the most important thing. I want to draw your attention to the statement that the Ukrainian ambassador to the United Nations made, saying, "Is it even possible that Russia is not really a member of the UN Security Council?" And viewers, if you are wondering what all this is about, I want to take you back just 1 minute. In 1945, when the United Nations was formed, there were five members. The members were United States, France, United Kingdom, Republic of China, and the USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, not Russian Federation. So in when the USSR was dismantled in 1990, the first country to go was Lithuania. I said somewhere that it was Ukraine. It is not. It is Lithuania first. And then in 1991, a whole bunch of countries came out of the USSR. Now, all these were given membership in the United Nations. Then, how is it that Russian Federation continued to use what was the seat allocated to USSR? So, with his insights, let's now listen to what Elmer has to say about this. Take it away, sir.
Thank you, thank you. In fact, they failed to change the name from USSR to Russian Federation. Normally, on the Russian Federation have inherited most of the old Soviet Union, even though many countries broke off. But in UN, I believe, and either it's a bureaucratic mistake, negligence, or a failure to change the name, or they may believe they may want to return to old glory, to their old glory, like what Mr. Putin is doing. In fact, he's dreaming of the Treaty of Versailles, what has been allocated to USSR. But anyway, the bottom line is they have not changed the name. So Russian Federation is not a member of the Security Council. And that's what the Ukraine ambassador to UN have pointed out, that there's no such an organization in UN called Russian Federation. There's no such a member. So they are in serious trouble. And I think there's a lot of behind the scene talking about kicking them out. If they really take over Ukraine or by force, I think there's a big chance that people may gang up together and say you don't really belong here and you should go somewhere else. And I believe maybe it's an opportunity for your country to apply for a membership at Security Council because you have the population, the size, and everything. There's no reason why you should not be there. So maybe people are so mad, 141 so bad, including India, maybe 142, may go for it. May in the General Assembly may vote a country like India to become a Security Council, and then just you don't have to say replace because they never are. The Russian Federation is never really a member. So that's I'm just theorizing. But the joke is they are not, and they are really subject to challenge because if you really in voting, they could be depends. If there are so many people angry with them, they may simply lose the seat, and it happens before in corporate world, in the National Assembly. If you fail to follow the procedure, you may lose your seat.
So I have put up a graphic or a picture of the resolution of restoration of the lawful rights of the People's Republic of China in the United Nations. Remember, I think we talked about this in a previous conversation. Republic of China, which is essentially Taiwan, was the member of the Security Council up until 1971. And then the switch was made. ROC went out, PRC came in. And here is the resolution. That was the 1976 plenary meeting that took place on the 25th of October 1971, where Taiwan got kicked out by United States and PRC got installed. Another missed opportunity for India. India was offered this in 1950s and they didn't take it. They did not take it. Incredible. Incredible. Now you are one among 141 nations who all want to put your hand up and say, oh, I want to be a permanent member of the UNSC. Should Russia get kicked out? And this is a definite possibility, because if the records don't indicate that the name change had happened, clearly all these votes don't have any meaning. So it's a bit of a thorny issue as to how the other 4 permanent members kept allowing this to happen, right?
Sometimes, this bureaucracy happens, and really it's an opportunity for India to apply. I mean, you don't go to the Security Council, you go to the General Assembly, and then ask your friends to propose India as the member of the Security Council, and it may happen. They may just vote because they're so angry with Russia. This is maybe a golden opportunity.
Yeah,
I don't speak for your country. I'm only
absolutely. This is all, basically we are both thinking loud. We are thinking loud. What if? These are all possibilities. And to finish that thought, I want to show something else, which is these were the countries that were admitted from the former USSR into the United Nations. In 1990, it was Lithuania. In 1991, we had Georgia, Estonia, Latvia, Ukraine, Moldova, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Belarus, Russia, and Kazakhstan. See, this is the thing. This is not USSR. So there is a distinction being made between USSR and Russia. So there is another proof here that something somewhere, some bungling of paperwork happened. So therefore, it is another opportunity for India to stake its claim to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council. Let's wait and see how this plays out. Now, would you like to add something to this? Because that list did say that Russia joined in 1991. I'm not 100% sure whether the list is accurate or not. Your thoughts on that?
Sorry, I couldn't hear very well. It was breaking up. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, I'll repeat my question. What I'm saying is, if you look at this list, he's brought up the list. Yeah, if you look at the list, the last but one name is Russia. Now, this is what. So this is not the list of applicants to the United Nations. This is what the USSR became. All these parts, basically, right? Yes. So now, I stand corrected here. Yes. I made a mistake. I just want to clarify. So Russia is a separate thing. Now they also call themselves as Russian Federation. Now, when all the other countries applied for membership to United Nations, Elmer, this is a specific question to you. What do you think Russia did at that point of time? They knew that they had to go back and stand in the line. How is it that they said, we are going to be continuing to take the place of USSR?
I really don't know. Maybe they're afraid to be challenged, because if you look at Ukraine actually was a founding member. They didn't join in the 90s. They joined in the 40s. So in a way, maybe they are afraid to be challenged. Maybe they're afraid that if there's a vote among the USSR old members, they may lose. So they just de facto walk into that membership and worry about being challenged. That's my only. I don't believe it could be such a big bureaucratic mistake or negligence. What do you think?
Yeah, so viewers, so this is very funny, isn't it? I mean, this is the apex body that is mediating between different countries, bringing all countries together, and yet you have this one mistake that happened in 1991. How this is going to be corrected, whether the other four permanent, in fact, you have to have a resolution passed in the UN General Assembly, and even if India abstains from
Yes.
voting, if it passes with a, I think it's two-thirds majority that is required. If I'm not wrong, again, I have to double check this thing. If it passes with the required amount of vote, then you will have Russia being kicked out and somebody else being put in that place. Now, next question to you, Elmer. Do you think if something like this happens with Russia and China goes ahead and invades Taiwan and Taiwan forms a government in exile, the current prime minister, the same thing could play out for Taiwan also, right? I mean, they could say that this is illegal occupation. You are out too. It is going to be Taiwan who's going to be this permanent member. Do you think that might happen?
In fact, Taiwan was not kicked out. They just walk out themselves. And then it was the procedure was not very, very clean. So somehow Taiwan's never thrown. And Taiwan is already a sovereign country. You know, Pompeo was there. Mike Pompeo was there last
Yes.
week, and he declared, he said, "There's no need to go independent. You're already independent. You are a sovereign country, the Republic of China, and U.S. should recognize them diplomatically as a separate sovereign state." This is what Mike Pompeo, which is legally totally correct. But of course, you will have to piss off the communist China. So, but anyway, if people are so angry, I think people are waking up. This is Putin has done the best favor for all of us, waking up everybody that how terrible these totalitarian regimes are. So if there's really angry enough, I think if US want to take the leadership, they should be both thrown out of the Security Council. And then India is the best candidate because you have the population. You represent, such a, maybe 1/5 or 1/4 of the world. There's no reason why you should not be represented. And the other one we should really consider is probably Japan, because economically, they are the second biggest economy in the world. China is not, honestly. If you really go back to market exchange rate, they are not. So this is all made up. China being number second economy in the world, biggest GDP, is not true. If you really force them to go into market exchange rate, it would be like right now it's about 6.5 to $1. It would be like more like 20 to 1 if you open up their currency trading to all the Chinese. So Japan is probably number 2. I think Japan first, India, and then Japan should be in the Security Council.
So I just want to reword what you said. I understood what you said. What Elmer's saying is that today, China's currency is not freely convertible. In other words, no Chinese can walk to a bank in China and say, I got 6,500 RMBs here. I want the equivalent of $1,000 in dollar bills. The Chinese bank will not give, because this is a fixed rate and they don't give this thing.
Exactly.
So Chinese currency is not fully convertible. So is India. India's also is not fully convertible, except there's a nuance in India. If you think about India, there are two parts. It's called current account and capital account. In current account, India's rupee is fully convertible. It's in the capital account, which is foreign direct investments. Those situations, it is not convertible. It has to be regulated, which is what most companies ask. Wait, if I have to do business in India, I want to be able to take my money out whenever I want, however much I want. This is where India balks a little bit, maybe because now it has $640 billion in its current foreign exchange reserves. It might just do that because now is another golden opportunity to tell the world, look, India is open. As far as you are concerned, as far as the big companies are concerned, you can take your money out anytime you want, as long as it doesn't exceed the investment plus profits. Just a thought again, I'm saying, but let's get back to the original point. So UN Security Council is ripe for a change. And if that happens or not, At least if, okay, let's say if it happens, you heard it first here. It was Elmer and I who were talking about it. So let's see how this plays out. Now, the next question, Elmer, is what is happening in Ukraine? In according to you, because I have been getting a lot of flack for taking a position that the majority of Indians don't want me to take. They say that India staying neutral and supporting Russia is the right thing. I have been saying for India's interest, India should be aligning with the West as far as this conflict is concerned. You can go back to being friends with Russia afterwards. Take this time slice and do it. What do you think is happening in Ukraine today, and your thoughts on India not casting its lot with the West?
But
Okay,
let me finish what I have to say.
Yeah.
The ruble, the Russian ruble used to be, I think, used to be like almost on par with the US dollars. Like one ruble equal to $2 in the old days, before the Soviet breakup, because it's all man-made. It's all artificial. It's not the real. Right now, it's 120 to $1. This is really the market rate. Under Putin, at least the exchange rate is floating. But even today, if you cannot get the change in the Russian banks because they run out of US dollars. So the real black market rate in Moscow today is almost 200 ruble to $1. Only under market condition is the real value. Otherwise, these totalitarian or communist countries are very good in manipulating. They control, they limit. They say, oh, you have to apply. I'll tell the Chinese people, you want US dollars, you apply. But it's a never situation. So this is why China is not the number 2 economy in the world. Don't believe in their lies.
Wonderful, sir. And the question that I had asked, at which point I think you got disconnected, I'll re-ask the question. What I was saying was, I have been getting a lot of flack for taking the stand that India should align with the West in this particular conflict of Russia versus Ukraine for India's best interests. Now, India has stayed neutral. They've stayed neutral through 3 different United Nations votes. And now we think that if Ukraine presses hard, and if Russia occupies Kiev, see, that is the point. When you occupy the capital of a country, that could be the trigger point at which point the West might say, okay, let us call a UN General Assembly vote and kick out Russia because of this technicality, right? So if that happens, now India will throw its hat into the ring. And you said that India is probably the best person to be there. You said that India and Japan should be in place of Russia and China. Now, as things stand today, like every day there's something happening. How do you see this conflict? Do you think India should be aligning itself with the West for its best interests? But just look at this one point alone, not long-term friendship and all that. Your thoughts?
Unfortunately, in fact, the Russian military are losing, really losing. They never expected that. US is playing 2 different levels. On the publicly, they say, oh, we cannot help them. They are not part of NATO. All right, Ukraine is not part of NATO. We cannot help them. But in fact, they are helping them. It's unbelievable. They give all the information from the satellite, from all the plane, the plane with the what do you call that satellite with the dish in the back of a plane. They give all the information. They also went in and hacked the Russian military communication, and then provide all sorts of information. That's why several generals are being assassinated by the Ukraine. The battle is basically done. There's no reason to go to. There's no. I don't think the Russian has the strength to win a conventional warfare. But we all know they would publicly demonstrating their hypersonic missiles. And I believe that Putin, when it really, instead of losing this war, he may have to use that. He actually demonstrated already. If he uses that on Kiev, I believe this is the perfect time to kick him out of the Security Council, because the world would be so mad. And he may even use nuclear weapon. He already declared to be in the nuclear deterrent alert. So if he used just the hypersonic, and if he used and or with a nuclear, for sure, it's the perfect time to throw them out. And China may do the same in Taiwan at the same time to create two battlefront for basically for the free world. And if they do that, it's a perfect time. This is more or less happening because China already, the foreign minister Wang Yi said, they are strategic partner with Russia. This is yesterday he said it. So they are very, very close. They are the axis, which I always name it. The others are minor partners. Iran may join them in a big way too. So I believe it's really time to clean house for the world, to reorganize the UN with the right people. It's totally wrong. China have bribed so many other UN countries, third world countries, to vote for them. The UN should be cleaned up.
Wonderful, sir. And we have a few minutes for questions today. Viewers, if you have questions, can we have some questions for Elmer, please? Warsaw Pact was dismantled by Russia under belief that NATO will not expand. What happened? Jansen wants to know.
The Russian are accusing, and the Communist China also accusing, that it's the NATO that's been advancing on Russia, on the Warsaw Pact, and that's why Russia was forced to do something in Ukraine. This is really not so true, not true at all, because NATO has always been a defensive alliance, and many countries, Eastern Europe, joined NATO because of what happened in Chechnya. In Chechnya was really the beginning of when they really joined NATO in draft. And what's going to happen? The other members who are not European members who are not yet NATO, they will join. Right now, they're already applying. There are several Scandinavian countries. Those countries will join. Every time Putin does something drastic or Russia does something drastic, then these countries will seek for security under NATO. So far, NATO has never done anything beyond its charter, always following UN resolution, both in Libya and also in Yugoslavia. It was all UN resolution. Ask them to do something. They have never really occupied or attacked a country on their own initiative. It cannot be done because you have to have the agreement of all the members in order to take any military action.
And Chechnya happened when, Elmer? Do you remember?
Sorry. Chechnya happened very early. That was even maybe before Putin. So 20 some years ago. I would say maybe in the late 90s. I'm guessing. I need to check.
That's fine. That's fine. But I remember that war.
And then
also.
Georgia,
So
as you remember,
yeah.
Chechnya, Georgia, and then Crimea. I mean, all this is pushing these Eastern European countries to join NATO.
Okay, so 1993 is when Chechnya happened. Thank you so much. So let's move on to the next question, please. Toon Tales wants to know, will sanctions on Iran and Venezuela be lifted to punish Russia?
Iran, they're different situations. Right now, U.S. stupidly cut back their fracking oil and fracking gas. So right now, if Russia is using their natural gas and oil as a weapon, they say if you since now you are sanctioning me, I'm going to cut you off to certain countries using it as a weapon. So U.S. has gone back to Iran and Venezuela to ask them to produce more oil to replace the Russian problem. It's a mess. The U.S. diplomacy is a total mess. I mean, they could have if 1 year ago, they could have prepared themselves for the LNG, both for Europe and Asia. They have enough gas. All these natural gas, U.S. have too much. So, but unfortunately, unfortunately, first Biden cut off the Keystone pipeline, and then they refused to issue any more license for fracking, and they don't allow borrowing, and no more fracking on federal land, no more license. As a result, now they are short of almost 2 million barrels a day, and after they are buying, it's crazy. Can you imagine? They are buying almost 700,000 barrels a day from Russia. And
Yes.
now that if Russia uses it as a weapon, now US may have to go to Venezuela, which is ridiculous, and Iran, which are really enemy territories. It's a joke. US can fix it in a matter of 2-3 months if they decided to. But then you have the green, and then you have the environmental, which I really don't understand. US energy, the LNG, is the cleanest in the world for generating electricity.
I want you to expand for just 2 minutes. Viewers, just bear with us. It's important to understand what exactly is fracking. And in fracking, they were actually burning off the natural gas that was being produced. Uh, Elmer, in a layman's term, can you please explain what happens in fracking and why this should be something that should be turned on immediately? Just talk to us about the technology of fracking, please.
Yes. In the old days, you have a pocket of oil and gas underground. So very easy to draw. Like the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, it costs probably $2 for a barrel. It comes out naturally because
two
it's stuck
dollars
there. You
per
can just
barrel.
pump
Remember
pressure
that
into it.
number.
$2 per barrel. And that's why the American, this big oil company, love to do business because there's huge profit to be shared by middlemen and by the Middle East ship. But then U.S. said, in fact, there are a lot of oil and gas trapped in the rock. The rock is like a sleeves. That's why it's like a sleeves of rock. So if they put enough pressure on this rock, the oil will come out and the gas also come out. And this is nothing wrong. This is just immature. So they have a technology that the people in Texas invented. They use gravel, little rocks, gravels, and then put water and really hit it hard. First they drill and then do a horizontal drilling. It's drilled down and then turn 90 degrees. And from there, they start putting pressure on those rocks. And those rocks will squeeze them, both the oil and the gas come out. And this is called fracking. Fracking is really putting pressure on it. And they have so much of it. US has so much of it. In this plateau between New Mexico and Texas, they have really unlimited, especially gas. And since these are done in the place without pipe, so all the gas came out. There's nowhere else to go. So they have to burn them because these gas are poisonous. I mean, they are really methane, very poisonous to breathe. So they burn them. If you fly over Texas or towards New Mexico at night, its whole area is lit up like a Las Vegas because they are burning. It's called flaring. They're flaring the unnecessary. But nowadays, they have enough technology to capture both and to liquefy and sell both. So they can supply both to Asia and to Europe. If we have 1 year, in fact, they prepared to do it. They were preparing to do it a year ago, under Trump administration to supply to compete with Russia in Europe and also to compete with Middle East in Asia because Asia gets there mostly, and also to control the Russian because Russians are the big player both for Asia and Europe. And US has also the advantage of Alaska. Alaska is only half the distance to Japan and to China. So Alaska has unbelievable reserve of both oil and gas. You don't even have to do fracking. It's again this $2 business. It's just US is so blessed with all these natural resources. But unfortunately, now suddenly everybody's talking green. And so suddenly they have to import. They have a shortage. And I mean, I've been on my gasoline price. I fill up my car. Used to be $30. Now it's like $60.
Yes, indeed. And viewers, I don't know how many of you remember the 2008 election slogan of the Republicans. There was a candidate called Sarah Palin. She was the governor of Alaska, and she was saying, "Drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill." I bet you this is going to come back in this November when Congress and Senate seats are up for a grabs. So we'll wait and see. But next question, please. Chinmay Jethwa wants to know, how are the sanctions impacting Russian citizens as of now?
Very serious. Very, very. Basically, all their foreign, every Russians, they knew they always need to travel. So they put some of their money in foreign currencies, like the Chinese, but then it's all frozen. Personal, corporate, state, all the foreign currency is all frozen. And also, of course, those oligarchs, all their money's got frozen. So it's very serious. All the credit cards, even American Express, Visa, Master, everything useless. Can you imagine? You go to a bank and you get a little bit of US dollars and nothing comes out. And these people and they have some kind of election. To be honest with you, I think the Russian election is not too bad. I would say 89. So the Russian election is probably 80-90% legitimate, meaning that they are going to vote. They are going to vote Putin out. He is doing the country huge damage, and the people were willing to sacrifice some freedom. And but this time, and also I heard on the 11th of March, which is coming up very soon, they are going to shut down the whole internet in Russia, and there will be huge protest because the war in Ukraine is a disaster, total disaster for Russia.
All right. And next question, please. H.A. Sharma wants to know, Elmer, sir, do you think China is preparing for a war with Taiwan or India? They are doing military drills / practice near Vietnam.
I would say that not right now. They are eyeing the Taiwan situation. If Putin is forced to use the hypersonic weapon, China may join them and do it at the same time to create the two front for US and force US into a negotiation, peace negotiation. They will have a limited war.
We'll wrap it. This is the last question. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that if Putin is forced to use the hypersonic missiles, China may join him and support him in the Taiwan Strait. So create the two fronts for US and force US into a negotiation. This is what I see. But they have totally underestimated the US capability. Just these shoulder missiles, it is already it's defeating the whole Russian army. Can you believe it? These are small weapons. It's not really nothing special. From what I heard, US is researching weapons that will come in 50 years. They are working 50 years ahead. This is how good they are. It's very much like semiconductor. When people ask you how many years is China behind in US in chips, all right? 50 years is not an exaggeration, unless they steal or have a right to steal and so. Otherwise, 50 years is not an exaggeration. Similar.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of high-tech export now is frozen from China. This happened in Trump's regime, and that has not been lifted. So China is also under a huge amount of economic sanctions right now. We may not see it. It's because it's not a free speech country. That's why we are not seeing it. That's why, Elmer keeps giving us the reality. He has a show almost every day, by the way, viewers. It's in Cantonese, right? In Cantonese, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of preparation. That's why when I talk to you, I just speak in English. That's all. Nothing. I have all the material ready.
Wonderful, sir. And I think we are done for today. Thank you so much. You are having back-to-back sessions. I'd like you to get some rest, and we'll pick up the conversation again next Tuesday, see what happens. Thanks for joining. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel and click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.